The vast emptiness of space near Jupiter's orbit was disturbed by the gentle hum of the research vessel Starseeker. Inside the ship's bridge, Captain James Miller stood with his hands clasped behind his back, watching the giant gas planet swirling storms through the main viewport. The peaceful scene was about to change dramatically. "Captain," called out Tom from his sensor station, his voice cracking with urgency. "Unknown ship just appeared on our scanners." "It's big, sir. Really big." Miller turned away from the viewport, his experienced eyes quickly taking in the readings on the main screen. The unknown vessel had seemingly appeared out of nowhere, its size nearly 4 times that of the Starseeker. Its dark, angular hull bristled with what were unmistakably weapon ports. "Open all frequencies," Miller ordered, keeping his voice steady despite the tension building in his chest. "Let's try to be friendly." Before they could broadcast a greeting, their communication system crackled to life. A harsh, mechanical voice filled the bridge, the universal translator struggling to keep up with the alien language. "Human vessel," the voice boomed. "This is Admiral Commander of the Superior Fleet. Your species harbors a dangerous beast. We have detected its life signs aboard your ship. Surrender immediately or face destruction." Miller exchanged confused looks with his bridge crew. A dangerous beast. The only animals they had aboard were part of their research program, and none could be considered dangerous. "This is Captain James Miller of the Earth research vessel Starseeker," he responded calmly. "There must be some misunderstanding. We're on a peaceful mission studying space travel's effects on various Earth species. Perhaps we could discuss." "Silence," the alien commander interrupted. "Our bioscanners never lie. We detect the presence of a descendant of your planet's most fearsome predator. Do not attempt to deceive us. We know of Earth's ancient wolves." Miller's eyes widened as realization dawned. Surely they couldn't mean. "Sir," whispered Linda from the science station, "they're scanning the recreation deck." "That's where." The captain nodded, fighting the urge to laugh. This had to be the strangest first contact situation in human history. "Admiral," Miller tried again, "I assure you that whatever you're detecting is not a threat. If you'd allow me to explain." The alien ship suddenly powered up its weapons, its massive form casting a shadow over the much smaller research vessel. The mechanical voice returned, now filled with what seemed like a mixture of fear and anger. "We have studied your planet's history. We know these creatures hunted in packs, bringing down prey many times their size. And you humans, you took these killers and made them even more dangerous through your science. Our scans show the beast's genetic link to these ancient predators. You will surrender this weapon immediately." The bridge crew struggled to maintain their professional composure. Tom had to pretend to cough to hide his snicker, while Linda buried her face in her console's readings. "Admiral," Miller said, carefully choosing his words, "I understand your concern, but I think there's been a significant cultural misunderstanding. What you're detecting is—" A loud alarm cut through the bridge as the alien vessel launched several small craft. "We will take the beast by force," the alien commander declared. "Any resistance will be met with immediate hostile action. You have brought this upon yourselves by bringing such a dangerous creature into space." As the boarding craft approached, Miller hit the ship-wide comm button. "All hands, this is the captain. We have a first contact situation with unique complications, security teams to boarding points, but weapons on stun only. And somebody please make sure Max is secured in his play area. It seems our visitors are very interested in meeting him." The captain shook his head as he watched the alien ships approach. How do you explain to a warlike alien species that their dreaded beast is actually a 4-month-old golden retriever puppy who still trips over his own ears and falls asleep with his favorite rubber bone? First contact was about to get very interesting indeed. Admiral Vex stood on the bridge of his mighty warship, his 4 eyes fixed on the tactical display showing the human vessel. Around him, his crew worked in tense silence, their scaled fingers moving quickly across control panels. They all knew the stories about Earth's deadly predators. but none had expected to encounter one in space. Commander Reed, Vex spoke into the communication system, addressing the leader of his boarding team. Approach with extreme caution. These humans have somehow enhanced these beasts. Our ancestors' records show they once hunted in packs of 6 or 7. The humans keep this one alone. Imagine how powerful it must be. Meanwhile, aboard the Starseeker, Lisa Parker was having a very different kind of problem in the ship's recreation area. Max. No, don't eat that. She lunged forward, managing to grab the puppy's favorite sock toy before it disappeared under a console. The golden retriever puppy looked up at her with big brown eyes, tail wagging so hard his whole body wiggled. You're causing quite a stir today, aren't you? The recreation area was specially designed for Max's comfort during the long research mission. Toys were scattered across the floor, and a small grass patch in the corner served as his bathroom area. The walls displayed projected images of parks and gardens from Earth, helping the puppy feel at home. Lisa, Captain Miller's voice came through her communicator. How's our dangerous beast doing? She looked down at Max, who had flopped onto his back, paws in the air, silently begging for belly rubs. He just finished his lunch, and now he's asking for his 100th belly rub of the day. Captain, should I be concerned about the alien boarding parties? Just keep him safe, Miller replied, amusement clear in his voice. Though I'm more worried about the aliens when they actually meet him. You know how he gets with new people. Lisa knew exactly what he meant. Max had never met a person he didn't immediately consider his best friend. The puppy's enthusiasm for making new friends was legendary among the crew. On the alien ship, Commander Reed was briefing his elite warriors. Each soldier wore advanced combat armor, carrying weapons designed to take down the largest known hostile life forms in the galaxy. Remember your training, Reed growled, his tail twitching with nervous energy. The beast will likely attempt to overpower us with its superior strength. Work as a unit. Use the sonic restraints first, then the neural suppressors if necessary. One young warrior raised his hand. Sir, what does the beast look like? Reed activated a holographic display showing an ancient earth wolf hunting its prey. The warriors shifted uncomfortably as they watched the predator take down a large animal. The humans have had centuries to improve upon this design, Reed warned. Expect something even more fearsome. Back on the Starseeker, Max had discovered his reflection in one of the metal panels and was now playing an intense game of bark at the other puppy. His high-pitched puppy barks echoed through the recreation area. Shh, Max. Lisa tried to quiet him, but couldn't help laughing as he play-bowed to his reflection, rear end high in the air, tail still wagging. She picked up his favorite squeaky toy, a small plush spaceship, and squeezed it. Max immediately forgot about his reflection and bounded over, tripping over his own paws in excitement. The ship's security system suddenly announced, "Warning, boarding parties approaching. All non-essential personnel please report to designated safe areas." Lisa looked down at Max, who had managed to get tangled in his own leash while chasing his tail. Well, buddy, looks like you're about to become an intergalactic diplomat. She reached down to untangle him, only to find he had somehow wrapped the leash around both of them. Though maybe we should work on your coordination first. The sound of heavy boots in the corridor outside grew louder. Max's ears perked up at the new sound, and his tail began wagging even faster, if that was possible. He let out an excited woof, ready to make some new friends. The aliens were about to discover that their dreaded beast was more interested in cuddles than combat. Commander Reed led his squad through the human ship's corridors, their heavy boots clanking against the metal floor. Each warrior carried enough firepower to stop a charging tank, and their armor could withstand direct hits from most weapons. But even with all this protection, they moved cautiously, checking every corner with their sensors. "Sir," whispered one of the warriors, pointing at his handheld scanner. "The beast's life signs are getting stronger. It's in the large chamber ahead." Reed's scales flickered with nervous colors. "Remember the plan. Team 1 will draw its attention while Team 2 uses the sonic nets. Do not underestimate it. These humans wouldn't keep such a powerful weapon unguarded. Inside the recreation area, Lisa was having her own crisis. Despite her best efforts, Max had somehow managed to escape his leash again. The golden puppy was now running circles around the grass patch, celebrating his freedom with joyful bounds. "Max, please," Lisa whispered urgently, trying to catch him. "This is not the time for zoomies." The puppy responded by play-bowing, his tail wagging like a furry propeller, clearly thinking this was the best game ever. He bounced around, picking up his spaceship squeaky toy and shaking it vigorously. The security door suddenly slid open with a hiss. Both Lisa and Max turned to look as armored figures filled the doorway, their weapons raised. For a moment, nobody moved. Max dropped his toy, his whole body wiggling with excitement at seeing new friends. "Beast sighted," Commander Reed shouted, his voice cracking with tension. "Deploy sonesi nectis, QMTINTE." His order was cut short as Max, overcome with joy at having so many potential playmates, charged straight at the alien warriors. His paws slipped on the smooth floor, sending him sliding directly between Reed's legs, tangling them with his leash that was still trailing behind him. The mighty alien commander, veteran of a dozen space battles, went down with a surprised yell. His warriors, trained to protect their leader, tried to help, only to trip over each other as Max bounded around them, thinking this was the most wonderful new game. "The beast has advanced tactical abilities," someone shouted. "It's trying to separate us." Lisa watched in amazement as the universe's most feared warriors were completely undone by a puppy's enthusiasm. Max darted between them, giving happy little barks, occasionally stopping to offer his toy to someone or attempt to lick whatever part of them he could reach. "Hold still," Reed commanded from the floor, where he was still trying to untangle himself from the leash. "It's using some kind of binding weapon." One of the younger warriors, who had been separated from the group, suddenly felt something wet on his hand. He looked down to find Max sitting there, looking up at him with those big brown eyes, gently licking his fingers through a gap in his armor. "Sir," the warrior's voice shook. "The beast, it's using some kind of chemical warfare. My hand feels strange." "What kind of strange?" Reed demanded, finally getting to his feet. I want to pet it." "Resist," Reed shouted, but it was too late. The young warrior had already knelt down, and Max had rolled onto his back, exposing his belly for rubs. The warrior's hand moved almost against his will to scratch the puppy's belly. Max's back leg started thumping against the floor in pure joy. "Sir," another warrior reported, sounding confused, "our tactical systems can't lock onto it. The target keeps being cute." Lisa finally decided to step in before things got even more out of hand. "Everyone, please stay calm. This is Max. He's a puppy, a baby dog. He's part of our research program studying how Earth animals adapt to space travel, and he would really like to be friends with all of you." The alien stared at her, then at Max, who had now convinced 3 more warriors to pet him, and was in a state of pure bliss. Commander Reed looked at his elite squad, now completely disarmed by a 4-month-old puppy, and activated his communication link to Admiral Vex. "Sir," he said slowly, "we may need to revise our assessment of the situation. The beast has deployed some kind of advanced friendship tactics. We were not prepared for this level of adorable." Admiral Vex watched the scene unfolding in the human ship's recreation area through his warrior's helmet cameras. His 4 eyes blinked rapidly in confusion as he tried to make sense of what he was seeing. The feared beast, supposedly enhanced by human science, was now rolling around on its back, while his elite warriors took turns rubbing its belly. "Impossible," he muttered, zooming in on the security footage. "Computer, analyzed the creature's genetic profile." The ship's AI responded promptly. "Subject shows clear genetic markers linking to Canis lupus, Earth's gray wolf. Historical records indicate these creatures were apex predators capable of bringing down prey 3 times their size. Vex leaned closer to the screen. Then explain why it's now. Chewing on Commander Reed's ceremonial battle tassel. Indeed, Max had discovered that Reed's armor included several dangling decorative tassels, and the puppy found them absolutely fascinating. The mighty warrior commander now stood perfectly still, afraid to move as the dangerous beast playfully tugged at the shiny decoration. "Sir," one of the scientists on Vex's bridge spoke up, "I've been analyzing the historical data. It seems we may have missed some important details about Earth's wolves." "Explain," Vex demanded, watching as Max now attempted to teach the aliens how to play fetch with his squeaky spaceship toy. The scientist pulled up a series of images on the main screen. Yes, wolves were fierce predators, but humans didn't exactly enhance them for battle. They befriended them. Befriended. Vex's scales changed color in surprise. How does one befriend a predator? Over thousands of years, humans selectively bred wolves, choosing the friendliest ones. Each generation became more social, more playful, until... The scientist gestured at the screen where Max was now getting a scratch behind his ears from a thoroughly conquered alien warrior. Well, until they became what humans call dogs. Lisa, who had been watching this scene unfold, decided to help explain. "That's right," she said, addressing the aliens. "Dogs are companions, not weapons. Max here is a golden retriever, a breed specifically developed to be gentle and friendly. He's still learning about the world. He's just a baby, really." As if to prove her point, Max let out a big yawn, showing his tiny puppy teeth. The morning's excitement had worn him out, and he was ready for his regular nap. He padded over to his favorite cushion, turned around 3 times, and flopped down with a small woof sound. The alien warriors watched in amazement as the dangerous beast curled up into a fluffy ball and promptly fell asleep, small snoring sounds escaping from his nose. But the historical records. Commander Reed stammered, still holding Max's squeaky toy that the puppy had given him. "They show wolves hunting in packs, taking down large prey." "Oh, wolves still exist on Earth," Lisa explained, keeping her voice low to not wake Max. "But dogs are different. Humans and dogs evolved together. They became our friends, our helpers, our family members. Max isn't a weapon. He's part of our crew. We're studying how puppies adapt to space travel, because wherever humans go in the galaxy, our dogs will come with us. They're part of our civilization." The aliens looked at each other, then at the sleeping puppy. One of the warriors raised his hand tentatively. "So, when he was licking my fingers, he was kissing you," Lisa smiled. "It's how dogs show affection. Not a chemical attack. No, just puppy kisses." Admiral Vex's voice came through their communicators, sounding both embarrassed and fascinated. "Are you telling me we mobilized our most elite fighting force against a baby animal that wants to be our friend?" "To be fair," Lisa said diplomatically, trying not to laugh, "Max wants to be everyone's friend. That's just how puppies are, especially golden retrievers. Would you like to come and meet him properly when he wakes up? He loves making new friends." The Admiral was quiet for a moment. "You humans took one of your planet's most efficient predators and turned them into this." He watched as Max twitched in his sleep, probably chasing something in his dreams. "Perhaps we have much to learn about your species after all." Admiral Vex's arrival on the Star Seeker was quite different from what anyone had expected just hours ago. Instead of leading a battle charge, he found himself nervously watching a small golden puppy bounce toward him, tail wagging at supersonic speeds. The Admiral, despite being one of the most decorated commanders in his fleet, took a step back. "You're certain he won't attack?" Captain Miller smiled. "The only danger from Max is being loved too much." As if understanding he was being talked about, Max sat down in front of the Admiral and tilted his head, ears flopping to one side. The puppy had just woken up from his nap, and was ready for more adventures with his new friends. "Our scientists are still trying to understand," Vex said, watching Max with a mixture of fear and fascination. "You took an apex predator and changed it with kindness. Not genetic manipulation or warrior enhancement. Just love, patience, and lots of belly rubs," Lisa explained, holding back a laugh as Max decided the Admiral had been still for too long and needed to be entertained. The puppy dropped his favorite spaceship toy at Vex's feet and looked up expectantly. "What? What does it want?" Vex asked, his scales shifting to a nervous purple color. "He wants you to throw the toy so he can bring it back to you. It's called Fetch. It's a game dogs love to play." Vex carefully picked up the toy, holding it like it might explode. Max's entire body wiggled with excitement. The Admiral gently tossed the toy a few feet away, and Max bounded after it, his paws slipping on the smooth floor in his enthusiasm. "But why?" Vex asked as Max proudly brought the toy back. "Why would a predator choose to play?" Commander Reed, who hadn't left Max's side since their first encounter, spoke up. "Sir, I think I understand now. Watch this." He knelt down and opened his arms. Max immediately ran over and flopped against him, accepting belly rubs with pure joy. "They chose love over power," Reed continued, his voice full of wonder. "The humans didn't make them into weapons. They made them into family." Captain Miller nodded. "Dogs and humans have been partners for thousands of years. They helped us hunt, protected our homes, and kept us warm. But most importantly, they showed us that friendship can cross species barriers. That's partly why we brought Max on this mission. We wanted to study how dogs adapt to space, because we couldn't imagine exploring the galaxy without our best friends." Max, having decided the Admiral had been left out of the fun for too long, trotted back to Vex and gently pawed at his leg. The mighty alien commander looked down at the puppy's hopeful expression and slowly, carefully, reached down to pat his head. The moment Vex's hand touched Max's soft fur, the puppy leaned into the pat, closing his eyes in contentment. The Admiral's scales shifted to a warm golden color, a sign of happiness in his species. "Remarkable," Vex whispered. "All our advanced scanners, our biological databases, our tactical analyses, and we completely misunderstood. We saw the genetic link to wolves and assumed humans had created a weapon. Instead, you created friendship. That's humanity for you." Lisa laughed as Max flopped onto his back, silently begging the Admiral for belly rubs. "We see a fierce predator and think, I bet that would make a great snuggle buddy." The sight of the feared Admiral Vex, leader of the superior fleet, kneeling down to give belly rubs to a puppy while his scales glowed with joy, would forever change how his species viewed humans. Several of his warriors were already asking Lisa questions about different dog breeds and whether they could learn more about Earth's animals. "Captain Miller," Vex said, standing up while Max played with his ceremonial cape, "I believe we need to revise our first contact protocols. Any species that can turn a predator into such a loving creature through patience and kindness, that's not a species to fear. That's a species to learn from." Max barked in agreement, then proceeded to try to teach the Admiral how to play tug-of-war with his rope toy. The Star Seekers' conference room had never seen such an unusual diplomatic meeting. Around the large table sat human officers and alien commanders, but all eyes were on Max, who was proudly showing off his new trick. The puppy sat perfectly still, balancing a treat on his nose, waiting for Lisa's command. "Okay, Max, catch," Lisa said. Max flipped the treat into the air with a quick movement of his head and caught it expertly, causing the alien delegates to burst into surprised chittering sounds, their version of applause. "Amazing control," Admiral Vex noted, his scales now a peaceful blue color. "And you taught him this using only positive rewards." Captain Miller nodded. "That's how we train all dogs. They want to make us happy, and we want to make them happy. It's a partnership built on trust and love." Commander Reed, who had become Max's biggest fan among the aliens, spoke up. But what about the historical records? The hunting, the pack behavior? Dr. Roberts, the ship's historian, pulled up some images on the main screen. Let me show you something interesting. These are cave paintings from Earth, thousands of years old. The images showed ancient wolves and humans hunting together. You see, Dr. Roberts continued, we didn't just change wolves. They changed us too. Early humans learned pack hunting from wolves. We learned their social behaviors, their way of working together. Some historians think we became better humans because of our friendship with dogs. Max, having finished his treat, made his rounds of the conference room, visiting each alien to collect pets and give kisses. The mighty warriors, who just yesterday had been ready for battle, now competed to see who could get the most tail wags. But surely there must have been challenges, Vex asked, scratching Max behind the ears. Moving from predator to companion couldn't have been easy. Lisa smiled, watching Max roll over for the third time to show the aliens his favorite trick. Of course there were challenges. It took thousands of generations. But look at the result. A creature that can read human emotions, that wants nothing more than to love and be loved, that would rather play than fight. And now you're teaching him to live in space, Reed added, tossing Max's squeaky toy across the room. Exactly, Captain Miller said. Because dogs have always been there for humanity's big adventures. They've helped us explore every corner of Earth, and now they're helping us explore space. Max isn't just a pet. He's a pioneer. Admiral Vex stood up, his scales shifting to a formal purple shade. Captain Miller, I have made my decision. I will recommend to my superiors that we establish full diplomatic relations with humanity immediately. Because of Max? Miller asked, surprised. Because of what Max represents, Vex explained. Any species that can take a predator and, through patience and kindness, turn it into a friend. Any species that brings companions on their journey to the stars. This is a species we want to know better. The Admiral walked over to where Max was playing with his toy. On our world, we believe that strength came from power, from showing no weakness. But you humans, you found strength in friendship, in taking the time to understand another species. Perhaps there is much we can learn from each other. Max, sensing the serious mood, walked over to Vex and gently placed his paw on the Admiral's leg, looking up with those big brown eyes. See, Lissa laughed. He knows you needed cheering up. Dogs are excellent diplomats. Indeed, Vex smiled, or at least made his species equivalent of a smile. Captain Miller, I would like to propose something. We have many young officers who could benefit from learning about Earth's animals. Perhaps we could establish an exchange program. Miller grinned. I think that's an excellent idea. And I know a certain puppy who would be very happy to help teach them. Max barked happily, as if giving his approval to the diplomatic agreement. Then he promptly fell asleep on Admiral Vex's ceremonial cape, snoring softly. Nobody had the heart to move him. After all, it's not every day that a sleeping puppy helps broker peace between two civilizations. 6 months after the famous puppy incident, as it came to be known in diplomatic circles, the Star Seekers' recreation area had changed quite a bit. The once simple space now featured a sign that read Intergalactic Friendship Center, and Max had his own official uniform vest with a tiny diplomatic corps badge. Today, the Golden Retriever was busy with his newest class of alien visitors. 5 young officers from Admiral Vex's fleet sat cross-legged on the floor, carefully holding treats as Lisa taught them the basics of dog training. Remember, Lisa said, watching as Max gently took a treat from a nervous alien cadet, it's all about patience and positive reinforcement. But he's so soft, exclaimed the cadet, their scales turning pink with excitement as Max licked their hand. Our history books never mentioned this part about Earth's predators. Captain Miller, watching from the doorway, smiled as he remembered how differently their first contact had started. His communication device beeped, speaking of first contacts. Admiral Vex was calling. Captain, Vex's image appeared, his scales a happy shade of gold. I trust the training program is going well. See for yourself. Miller turned his screen to show Max demonstrating. Shake hands with the cadets. Your officers are learning quickly. Though I think Max might be the better teacher between him and Lisa. Excellent. The High Council is very pleased with the progress. In fact, they've approved my request to expand the program. We'd like to learn about these other Earth animals you mentioned. Cats, I believe. Miller tried not to laugh. Admiral, I think we should master one Earth pet at a time. Cats are. Well, that's a whole different diplomatic challenge. On the floor, Max had decided it was time for his favorite game. He dropped his spaceship toy in front of the cadets, tail wagging expectantly. Look, one of them exclaimed. He's initiating the ritual of fetch, just like in our training manual. The sight of 5 alien officers seriously consulting their Understanding Earth Dogs manual about the proper technique for throwing a toy made Miller's day. The manual had become required reading for all alien diplomatic staff after the puppy incident. Commander Reed, who was now the official liaison for the exchange program, entered the room carrying what looked suspiciously like a bag of new toys for Max. Sir, he addressed Miller while trying to hide the bag behind his back. The latest diplomatic package from our homeworld has arrived. They're very interested in something humans call agility training. Ah, yes. Miller nodded. Lisa's been working with Max on that, though he still gets distracted halfway through the course if someone offers belly rubs. Speaking of training, Vex's voice came from the communication device. My scientists have been studying the historical records you shared. Is it true that humans have befriended other Earth species as well? Oh yes, Miller replied. Dogs were just the beginning. We've made friends with lots of animals over the years. Fascinating. The Council has authorized me to establish a permanent Earth Animal Understanding Division. Commander Reed will head it, given his extensive experience with Max. Reed's scales turned slightly purple with embarrassment. Everyone knew he spent his off-duty hours playing with Max and had even installed a special treat dispenser in his quarters. Max, having thoroughly charmed his newest students, trotted over to Miller and sat down, looking up at the communication screen. His tail started wagging as soon as he saw Vex. Hello, little diplomat, Vex said fondly. Still teaching us all about friendship, I see. Max barked happily in response, causing all the alien cadets to immediately check their manuals for the meaning of different bark types. You know, Miller said, watching the scene, when we started this research mission, we wanted to study how dogs would adapt to space travel. Instead, Max taught us all something about how to make friends across the galaxy. Indeed, Vex agreed. Thanks to one small puppy, our species now understand that true strength isn't about weapons or power. It's about the ability to turn potential enemies into friends. Max, having grown tired of all this serious talk, decided it was time for zoomies. He raced around the room, bringing joy and chaos in equal measure, while aliens and humans alike laughed together. And that's how humanity's first major diplomatic success in space was achieved, not through complex negotiations or shows of force, but through the simple, unconditional love of a golden retriever puppy who never met anyone he didn't consider a friend.